before I get started talking about the movie, I just wanted to kind of throw out to you. Myself and my family have been a big fan of yours for a long time, like going back to like New Jack City, and also the first two seasons of Soul Food were actually my junior and senior year of high school. So I was still living at home. And it was one of the few shows that I actually watched with my family together. And so when I told my mom I was doing this today, she was equal parts jealous and proud. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you.
Well, tell your mama I said hello, and we'll have to work that out where I give her a shout out sometime.
For sure.
What's
So
your mom's name?
her name is Regina Reed.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
she's a huge fan. So she was very very happy I was doing this today.
Sweet.
So talking about, I want to kind of just go back for a second to the first Candyman and kind of like how you became a part of it, and when you were doing it. I mean, I guess when you're doing something like that, you don't know what the legacy of something like that's going to be.
Yeah.
But how did you become a part of it, and how did it feel that film kind of still continues to resonate today?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing to be in another sort of iconic legacy film that to be in Hollywood history, to be a part of these amazing projects. So I feel fortunate and it's very very gratifying as an artist. I got this audition the way actors get. I mean, I got this role the way actors get roles. I went in and I auditioned for it. It was my it was one of the first few auditions I went in when I came to LA to sort of check it out. Because, I'm a
Right.
New Yorker, Brooklyn, do or die, Bed-Stuy, born and bred. I was like, let's see what LA got going on. And I came on the heels of the momentum from New Jack City. Thank you for watching and being such a fan. I appreciate that. And so, so I felt like this was the right time to go and sort of check out LA. I had been waiting for them to pluck me out and take me, to book a job and just get flown out. I knew that was possible because I had the opportunity to do that a couple of times, but I didn't book it. And some of my friends, did go out that way. So that was the ideal way. But I felt like what was going on in my personal life. I was breaking up with a boyfriend, and New Jack had just come out. So let me just get away and go to, to LA and see what it had to offer. And so I booked the film really, really like within weeks of being there. And it just opened up, it was a wonderful way to say hello and for LA and Hollywood to welcome me. Like, yeah, come on, we want you. And this is how it will be. And so the film, Bernard Rose was such an amazing, director to work with. In researching my conversation, my interview with him, I'd watched his film and was intrigued by the psychological part of the drama. Because again, being a scary cat that I am, I wasn't a big fan of horror like you. I didn't want Freddy coming to get me,
Right,
but
right.
what was so haunting about his earlier work that I watched was the psychological fears that
Right.
it conjured up. And so for me, like, that's the best kind of scary, because it's so unsettling, and it's the thoughts that you're having in your mind. And so that was how I became a part of it, and it became a part of my life. And then so when I heard that Jordan Peele, who was also I want to be working with, like, yeah,
Like, hello.
was had anything to do with this next Joe, this next the revisiting of it. I was like, well, aren't they gonna need some of the survivors from the film? Are they gonna need
Like,
the
we need a
mama?
link. We need
Like,
a link of some kind.
it's like clearly, surely. So to get the call that yes, in fact, Anne Marie and her son, and feature prominently in the way we're going to get into the story and tell it. I think first of all it was like such a genius move and such a brilliant way in, and that I got to be a part of it. So it all worked on all cylinders for me.
Yeah, it was really because I saw the film a couple of weeks ago, and it had been described leading up to coming out last year when it was supposed to come out.
Right.
It was more of like, it was when they were calling it a sequel, they kept saying like, no, it's more of like a spiritual sequel
A
to the
spiritual sequel.
original.
That was the term I was trying to use.
And like it and you
So,
get
so
that,
very much in the spirit of it,
right.
but not a one-to-one
Right,
instant.
exactly. Like you get that impression when you're watching it, and to have you there as that link, that kind
Yeah.
of links the two films, um, you know, that is kind of what fans of the original, when they get to that point, they're like, oh, this all makes sense now. This is how these
Right.
two things come together. You know, what was it like, kind of being back in that world? Did it feel like it did like a long time ago, or was it? I mean, you hadn't been with that character for a while, so what was it like,
No.
kind of doing it again?
Well, it was fascinating. It was fascinating. And rarely do you have an opportunity to sort of like, unless you're doing a series, which of course I've done as well, but that sort of happens, in order, right? So it was wonderful revisiting, the character and thinking about and really putting myself into her story again and where she has gone and how she's grown and what kinds of coming out of such a huge trauma, right? Having lost your child, having been through this whole like Candyman experience from Ruthie Jean and all the it being trauma, the whole neighborhood being traumatized, then to have the experience of like having your dog killed and having interaction with these people nosing around in your business and then stirring up trouble, just having the whole, and then being able to forgive because she gave you your baby back, was able to save your child. It was like a huge traumatic experience that Anne-Marie has lived through. And so it gave me the opportunity to think about how does one survive that kind of trauma, and pull from my own life of the tragedies and traumas that I've experienced as a mother, as a daughter, as a Black person living in America. And so the film does such a marvelous thing in recasting that, reframing that, and reorienting the narrative to be in the voice of and in the vision of the victims. And I love this quote that Jordan Peele says in his interviews about how the films centers on the eternal dance between the victim and the monster, and the racial history of this country. Right. So like if that ain't
Yeah.
a soundbite for the ages, and a wonderful way of creating a wonderful space to have one's mission and to be bigger than just entertainment, but to be educational and healing and a real conversation starter for the deeper things that we as a society are trying to unpack. And so that we go to the movies to sort of have this to have a release from it, right? But we also go to the movies to be informed, and so that as artists we also get to like shape a worldview and really shift the consciousness of the culture. So it's all along with all of those protests out there where we talk about, I think it's such a genius conversation, and these were some of the standouts in the script, a genius conversation about the real sort of violence that gentrification is to a community of color, where you come in, you remove, you destroy, and you rename some shit. Like it ain't even Malcolm X Boulevard anymore. It's Bowie Drive or something, and I love David Bowie, but you know what I mean? It's just like, look, we're just gonna totally obliterate your existence because we realize that we don't want to live on Long Island anymore. We want to be in the city where it's closer. And it's a violent move. It's a violent move, and it's the history of Black people in this country. And so the way that this movie can just so succinctly address all of these issues, to use puppetry, the wonderful artist Kara Walker. So she's so powerful in doing all her antebellum ideas and what have you. And that puppetry has such a history, going back into Egyptian culture, of ways of telling story in an impactful way, and that we get it on a visceral level. And it also goes to like not just such a brilliance of Nia's directing in order to tell the story, but also not re-traumatize the people who are the victims. So
Exactly.
I'm just so grateful to be in such an important film. I really think this is an important film, and it's
Yeah.
not trite and throwaway. You know.
Yeah, I thought so too, because like, you know, when I talked to Colman Domingo about it, you know, like the thing about the original film is the social I mean, of course it's a scary movie, they're fun, they give you this kind of visceral feeling when you go see them. Like there's that aspect of watching a horror movie, but then there's also, I think, in almost better than most genres, like they can put in social commentary that is incredibly informative and that you take with you after it's over. That was in the original film, and I think that it's in this one too. And I kind of brought this up to Coleman when I talked to him. Like this movie was supposed to come out last year, ahead of a lot of stuff that went on last year. And you know, of course, that stuff was already going on in the world, but it became so much more of a focus last year. And then watching this movie, you know, this year, a couple of weeks ago, it's still hitting the same beats that we are still going through. And that's why I think the movie is so important as well, because it's still bringing up a conversation we need to have.
It's an ongoing conversation. It's an ongoing sort of redress, and it speaks to the intergenerational nature of these acts of violence. And so this is the thing that doesn't make George Floyd singular. It's a long history and names that came even after George, so that, you know, this is a conversation, and the import of this film. And the thing about a film is that, like the original Candyman, it will last. It will last, and it will keep informing the conversation, keep generating the conversation, and ultimately, as there's beautiful like companion materials and resource materials on CandymanMovie.com that I just hope that you talk about, that people should go to and utilize, because it really opens up the conversation, and it keeps to the deeper meaning, the larger impact of it. And one of the things that Tananarive says about the ability for this film, in this voice, from this point of view, to really heal, right, to really heal the victim and the victimizers. You know, so that's ultimately, we want to stop having to have this conversation. Exactly. We want to feel safe in the world.
Yeah, it should feel normal, right? It should feel it should, like, I mean, that's the trippy thing about it, is that, you know, it's still like, even when you get movies like this, and it's still, you're like, it's still such a part of the consciousness and part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm glad there are movies like this, though, that, and you know, other mediums might not like reach certain people, like, but a horror film might reach someone that needs to hear it.
Yes.
And like, I think that's why it's really important as well. I mean, like, you get the best of both worlds. You get to be entertained, you get to be scared, but then you get to learn something, and that's also important. I think that's,
it's so powerful and important. Absolutely, absolutely. And it's what art can do, and why there are artists.
Right.
That's the job of the arts.
Great. Before I let you go, because I have to wrap up soon, I was so impressed by Nia DaCosta's direction on this. You know, I know that she had done film before, and I know she's you know, working on the Captain Marvel sequel now. But I'm looking at some of the just the visual stuff she was doing. Like I was just so impressed as like a horror fan. Like, she just nailed it, and I just wanted to know what it was like for you as an actress, like, you know, working with her and being directed by her. Like, what was it like on set?
It was a joy. It starts from the top down, right? So the level of harmony and focus and peace on that set starts from the director. I mean, you know, it's a woman, a Black woman who's clear, who's got all of the components, all the other departments working with her to create this vision, honed by, you know, starting with the script that Jordan Peele and when helped to conjure, you know, helped to create. So you've got like this great roadmap, and then all of her instincts and the way she directed me, like to do like the instinctual mama, you know, fix the baby's sores and what have you, but then to sit back and let it breathe and confess, this horrible, this thing that you've been holding on to, and try to get your grown ass son to reason with, to try to understand that you as a woman and a mom trying to protect him and give him a normal life. I mean, all of that was Nia's choice. And then even letting it evolve out of our instincts to do it, to have different choices of the ways to do it, and then to settle on that choice, to put the poetry as the puppetry as a way to do the flashback in that particular way. So it also gave us a breath, some distance to be able to go back and put that part in there. Her transitions, the way the camera was moving you and bringing you closer and then backing you up. I mean, it was just brilliant.
The stuff that's like out of frame. I was like looking at one scene at one point and like completely like got jolted because I wasn't like paying attention like the conversation. And then there's just, I love that in horror movies where there's like the stuff that's out of frame in the background that you don't pay attention to. Like,
the stuff that happens in the compact.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You're like, what? Like she nailed it.
The use of like the whole opening scene being like a reference to turned upside down. So literally like the spiritual, like we're going to go inside the interior. We're going to go to the spiritual side of what was going on. So from the opening scene where like the things are in reverse and we're inside the mirror. Yeah. We're inside the mirror. And to put the mirror as a part of the artwork. I mean, all of those sort of genius decisions and crafting, it just shows so much craftsmanship. That is what we come to expect, and part of the brand of Monkey Paw, and out of the genius, that Jordan Peele and Ian Cooper and when all of the sort of main players of that, who love this film, like Ian talked about he and Jordan being on the bed, watching the original movie and just like loving it, and that they had the wherewithal and the foresight to put it in the hands of a Black woman director at the helm. It's just so forward thinking. So like, yes, we can trust this woman to care for this story in a way that all of these parts about her as an artist bring to it. It's great. It's just brilliant and works perfectly.
Yeah, it does. I'm just so impressed by the film as a whole, and especially it's so weird because I haven't watched it again since the 2 weeks, and I'm like talking to you, and in this conversation I'm remembering like all the things that like I loved about it and things that stood out about it. And like, I can't wait for everyone to see this film. I've had friends, you can't talk about it, right? So they're like, oh, how was it? Like, it's like next Friday, you'll know, go see it. Like, that's all I'm saying.
The authenticity of it, like for somebody to open up the door to the basement and be like, oh, I'm not going in there. Yeah. I just felt like the humor. I love Nathan's character as the brother who's like, oh no, get her, we up in here, making all this noise. Exactly. Like, it was so authentic.
Speaks to like everyone. There's somebody like that, like in your life that would be like that in that situation. There's the serious person, the scared person, and the person who knows better to not be like, I don't want to be here. We need to go. Like, it had everything. I mean, and that's the beauty of like Jordan Peele's writing, it's just a lot.
It has the revenge element. It has the retribution. Yeah. It's like turning the gaze, like, show me the mirror. Let me see myself in the mirror. I mean, exactly. Can you, the poetry of that, the importance of a Black person in a movie to say, let me see myself. Yep. Come on, the double entendre on top of entendre. Come on. It's so satisfying. Yeah. And as an artist and as a viewer, it's just so satisfying to be a part of it. And I know for sure this movie's going to live on just as the original did, and then some. So definitely encourage people to go deeper on the website and getting these resource materials, because I think it's just going to enhance their viewing pleasure.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. And it's funny. This rapport has been so good. I could talk to you all day. I know that you have a lot going on. Thank you for giving me even a little bit of your time. This has been awesome. You're gonna make my mom very jealous. You're gonna make my mom very.
I'll send a little something to your mother, Regina. I'll do a little video and send to her. Because because I don't know if I mentioned, there's like a whole little 20-minute, the impact of Black horror that's going to be living on the website,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it's
Was
like
that
all
on
these.
your Twitter page?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
It
okay.
hasn't come out
I
yet.
was just like looking through a few things that were on there. I saw some Candyman.
Oh, that is a conversation that happened at 11 o'clock today. There was like
Okay.
another. I think they either showed the discussion,
Okay.
and it goes up on the what is it? Someone's telling me. Yeah, Candyman movie
Perfect.
dot com/impact. I think is the thing.
Yeah, I will include all that in my coverage of this, and
Yeah,
I will make
because
sure that
it
yeah,
just opens it up and makes it much more impactful. It's 20 minutes, and it's all these thinking great minds talking about the emotional and racial impact of it. Yeah, it's great.
well, thank you so much for your time. It's been great. I really appreciate it. I know everyone's gonna love the film. It was great talking to you. It was like talking to a friend. So this was awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, my dear. Bye bye.
Hello, this is Gaius Bowling from JoBlo.com. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, man? You're my last one, but it's going to be the best one.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope to make it your best one.
You will. I know. I can see it. Come on, give it to me.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I had a chance to check out the film yesterday, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really good continuation of the story from the original film. And I've kind of heard in like when this was kind of being brought up that it felt like more of a spiritual sequel to the first film. And I was wondering, because I'm a fan of the original film, I was wondering if you were a fan before you signed on, and what was it about this take and this continuation that made you want to get on board with this?
You know what? It's funny because of the Candyman lore and how deep it was, I stayed away from it because it was terrifying. It was that scary. I'm on the other side. I was like, oh, I'm going to stay away from that. I don't need to see that. But then, of course, when I got cast in this, I went to the source material and watched it, and I thought it was fascinating. And I love that we were writing something that was going to, creating something that was going to be in conversation with the original. So that's what I think it is. It's just an epic conversation because the story keeps continuing. The questions of who's the monster, of Candyman, of Black lives being brutalized, of gentrification, of art and criticism. I think it's all connective tissue, and we're continuing in that line, making it a spiritual sequel.
Right, exactly. I guess the biggest thing about the original, and even with this one, the social commentary is just as important as, of course, it's a scary movie. You want to like make people jump out of their seats. You want all that to happen. But what makes these movies so good is that there's also a message. There's something that you're trying to tell, something you're trying to convey. How important was it for you to kind of keep that social commentary thread going into this kind of chapter of the story, especially now? I guess it is still, it's always going to be relevant, I guess, but it was especially relevant recently.
Absolutely. I think especially, I feel like we're really, it's truly timely because it's unpacking so much that we've all been dealing with, especially after last year's Summer of Racial Reckoning. I think that these are things that it's a great tool in a way, I would say, to really go into the dark, into a theater with other people and examine this stuff together in the genre of horror.
Right.
I think that horror is as an entertainment. Yes, it is to get the gasps and to get the jump scare. But this is going to give you a little bit more than even what you imagine you were coming for. You're going to actually hear conversations that you're not privy to. You can hear all this discussion, what it's about. And I love the ideas about gentrification and art criticism as well, and Black art and who the art is for. There's many things we're unpacking in our culture in the film, which I think is extraordinary and unique. Right.
So if this film would have kept this, I know like most movies, it got delayed because of the COVID pandemic and all that. But if it would have kept its original date, it kind of would have come out in the heat of like when a lot of that stuff was going on. But even now, even like, over a year later, that is still kind of, still part of the narrative, it's still part of the story. But do you think how do you think things would have been affected if the movie would have actually come out when it was intended to come out, like closer to when all that stuff was going on? And
you know what I think? I think it almost would have been too much on the nose in a way. I think that there's something about that it was divine that they made the choice for it to come out later. I think they were right believing that this needs to be experienced in an audience with others.
Right.
Not just for box office numbers, but I think because the intent of horror is to experience this together in a theater, just like Broadway stages as well. It's like, no, some things are meant to be in conversation with each other right now.
Right.
To actually hear why someone, oh, you laughed over that. That one triggered me. I wonder what that's about. So, you know what I mean? So I think that the intention is for it to be enjoyed on a screen with other people in the room.
Right.
Because there's a conversation that needs to be happening that's happening on that screen.
Exactly. Because, you know, there's something, you know, like, you know, especially with everyone going back to the movies right now, for some reason, the horror genre right now, you had like A Quiet Place 2 and The Forever Purge did pretty decent when it came out. There's something, I don't know what it is about the genre that gets people to kind of go and, you know, get in those seats, but like, it's kind of cool that you're able to have this kind of this avenue to tell this story that will be told in the best way in this kind of communal atmosphere of going back to the movies.
Well, that's what felt good about this summer for me, to be honest. I've been blessed to be in one film that started off the summer and getting back into theaters, Zola.
Yep.
And also with Candyman. And I thank you. And Candyman at the end of the summer, it almost draws a line. Like these things that we think that are very important and the reasons why you've got to get into a theater to see this and experience this. Both of them are about America. You know, both of them are about a conversation that we're all having in corners and on blogs and on Twitter feeds and all, but we can actually have them in a space together. So I feel very blessed to be a part of this entire conversation as we go back into the theaters. And it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing to see. I just wanted to ask you, like, as an actor, because, you know, with your character provides a lot of the backstory, a lot of, like, you know, why is this happening? And I was just wondering, as an actor, like on the page, like, is that kind of like, you know, you have to be the guy who's like, you know, this is why this is going on. Like, how do you make that like interesting for you as a performer? Like, where do you kind of go to kind of, I guess, give that more, I guess, a bit more meat for you as an actor when you're having to say the lines and do the work?
Well, you have to, I mean, it's funny because those were pages and pages of monologue.
Right.
And the intention was that this guy is the keeper of these stories, that he's the custodian of all this trauma. And his design is to educate and enlighten and inspire. So those are very clear objectives that he has. And I think that that's what drew me to the character. And I think that's why Jordan created this character for me. He knew that it's also part of my DNA to be that person, to inspire, educate, help interrogate in some way. So I think it's where a character meets an actor, yet I pour myself into this character that is of a very different experience than my own, and has a whole different set of operating systems. But he has a clear objective, which is to be the keeper of this story and this trauma, and to amplify it in some way and to resurrect it, to make sure that it's not forgotten, that you say their names.
Exactly. So, you know, pretty much all your stuff was with Yahya. So I was like wondering, what was it like kind of building a rapport with him? And what was it like working with him one-on-one?
Well, he's a great guy. We worked together. This is our second time working together. We worked on a film called First Match together. Okay. We were opposite each other. And so we knew that was sort of like its appetizer when we did that film. And we wanted to have a full meal. And boy, did we have it. We had it. It was great. It's funny because our whole relationship in the film, I think a lot of it is me talking a lot.
mentoring, if you will.
And mentoring, and he's listening.
Yeah.
So I felt like, you know, or like when I'm, you know, doing some dastardly things to his arm, I'm in my own world in a way. Right. So I still think I'm looking forward to the next opportunity when we truly maybe spar off of each other.
Right.
Because I had my own objective. Honestly, it's strange even thinking about it. I felt like I was in my own world, to be honest. And then everyone, like, he was the puppeteer, literally. My character's a puppeteer, making these puppet shows and all. But he basically was letting everything, he was building everything as part of his greater objective, which was to bring the legend of Candyman back.
Right.
So exactly. I almost felt like I was in a solo show with other people in it.
You're in your world, and then everyone else is operating in their own.
Because he was just using it, whatever. Oh, you're here, great. I'm going to kidnap
Right.
you. Great, you're here. You're going to watch this. I'm going to use you for this. Everything was a part of building what he needed.
Yeah, right.
So now look forward more to the back and forth next time.
Right. Yeah. So before they wrap me up here, I wanted to ask Nia DaCosta, the stuff that she did with it. Like, there are so many things that I'm like just watching as someone that loves film and watching what she's doing with the movie. Like, just some of the stuff you kind of see out of frame, like you're watching it and you're like, whoa, like you didn't see that in the background. Like, she had a really good visual flair as a director. And I kind of wanted to know, what was it like kind of working with her? I know like she had done something before, but like, this is kind of like her kind of a big thing, which before she gets to her next big thing, which will be like, the Captain Marvel sequel. But how's it working with her on this project?
Beautiful. She's a very gentle spirit. She's intelligent, fiercely intelligent. She knows what she wants, and she's also a great collaborator. I think that for her to be so young, she operates as a senior director in every single way. You trust her. You trust that she has vision, and you want to fit into that vision. And she's not afraid of you interrogating that vision either, and asking questions and collaborating with her. So I love working with her. I work with her again and again. All she has to do is ask. So, Nia, let's do it again. Let's do it again, Nia.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, man. This has been a pleasure. I know I'm your last one. I hope I was good enough.
The best one. You were the best. You were the best.
Thank you. Yeah, you probably tell it to everyone, but I'll take it. I will take it. I will take it. Thank you so much. The movie was great. You're great in it. You have a good one. Take care, buddy.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.